and the Secretary of State. Let's listen.
Good afternoon. It's a very good afternoon, because at long last, I can announce a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached between Israel and Hamas.
This deal will hold.
I'm confident. Thank you.
Books credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
This is my video update on this Thursday afternoon, January the 16th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And of course, the big news story is the Gaza ceasefire, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Qatar announced the ceasefire yesterday. This was expected. It was expected that a ceasefire announcement was going to come yesterday. Qatar announced it. Netanyahu announced it. Biden announced the ceasefire. And Trump announced the ceasefire. And that's the big debate that is going on right now in the United States, in the world, with regards to this ceasefire. Who is going to get the credit? Who is credited with finally getting a ceasefire in Gaza? Is it Biden or is it Trump? I think there is no doubt about it that it's Trump. Even though Biden is trying to claim credit for the ceasefire, Biden and Blinken and Harris announcing the ceasefire, all of them together, talking about a ceasefire deal that has been reached, how it's a very good day, trying to claim credit for something that would have never happened if Trump had not won the elections in November. If Trump did not win, there would not have been a ceasefire. That is crystal clear. It is absolutely obvious that Trump put the pressure on Israel and on Netanyahu to get to a ceasefire before January 20th. He sent his envoy to the Middle East to put pressure on Netanyahu. And the ceasefire was agreed upon by Hamas and by Israel. The details of the ceasefire, you can pretty much find it anywhere. You can definitely find it anywhere online. All the details of the agreement. It's in 3 phases. It takes effect on January the 19th. I believe 33 Israeli hostages will be released. Palestinian prisoners will also be released. I don't have the exact numbers, but you can find all the details pretty much anywhere online for the agreement. Will it hold? We'll see. Everyone is hoping that it holds. Most people, most sane, rational people want this to hold and want some peace and stability in the region. There are neocons who are very upset with this deal. Neocons in the U.S. and neocons in Netanyahu's administration who are very upset that he agreed to this ceasefire. But Trump put a lot of pressure on Netanyahu. Those are the reports that we are getting from Israeli media, actually. This is not me saying this, but Israeli media is saying that it was Trump. It was Trump putting pressure on Netanyahu, Trump's envoy. According to the Times of Israel, Arab officials, Trump envoy swayed Netanyahu more in one meeting than Biden did all year. Trump credited for ceasefire breakthrough as U.S. officials who resigned over Gaza war slam Biden's inaction. Officials said breakthrough came when Trump applied pressure on Israeli government, something Biden was unwilling to do. Something Biden was unwilling to do. Not something Biden was unable to do, not something Biden was too incompetent to do, or his brain was too much mishmash, mashed potatoes to do. Something he was unwilling to do. Those are the words. I believe this is from this article is from The Independent. Yeah, there's a lot of reports which are slamming the Biden White House. And when they're slamming the Biden White House, they mean Biden, Sullivan, and Blinken. Mostly Blinken, because Blinken was the guy that was traveling to the Middle East 25 times, however many times, talking about how he's trying to get to a ceasefire agreement. But every time he was going to the region to try and broker some sort of a peace, things would get worse and worse. Every time he would go, things would get worse. And he just was unable to get that ceasefire. That's what he was telling us. And the main goal from the Biden White House was always to avoid a wider war. That was their main goal. We need to avoid a wider war. We need to prevent a wider war against Iran. That's what they were telling us. That's what Blinken was telling us. That's what Biden was telling us. Now we are getting reports which claim that it was the exact opposite. The exact freaking opposite. Even the Times of Israel is saying that when they would have meetings back in August, other meetings that were taking place over the past year, the Times of Israel, according to their sources, claim that they would be very close to a ceasefire. Over the past year, there were many, many times when we were very close to a ceasefire. We're talking about saving thousands, tens of thousands of lives. Officials would get close to a ceasefire. Blinken would do something to sabotage it, trying to keep the war going. That's what they're basically hinting at, that they were sabotaging deals in order to keep the war going. They don't say it like that, but when you read between the lines, that's the conclusion that you take away from their reporting. So they weren't trying to wind down the conflict. At least this is how it looks. They weren't trying to wind down the conflict. They were trying to widen the conflict and keep it going. Most likely so that they can keep things going, so that eventually you can get to some sort of a conflict with Iran. Continue to open up the way towards eventually getting the big smash with Iran. So they had to keep the conflict going and keep on widening the conflict. But they ran into a problem. Harris did not win in November. Trump won. Many neocons believe that Trump would continue the policy of keeping the war going and moving towards a smash with Iran, but that's not what Trump had in mind. Trump wanted to wind the conflict down. He needed to wind the conflict down because he needs stability. As I said yesterday in my video, he's not a fan of Iran. He's not a fan of Hamas. He's not a fan of Hezbollah. He despises all of these organizations around the country. Despises it. He wants regime change in Iran, but he's got a very ambitious, very difficult agenda in the United States, and he just doesn't want a conflict in the Middle East. A conflict in the Middle East would completely sink whatever he's trying to do in the U.S. with his agenda, with his domestic agenda. And so he put the pressure on Netanyahu and told Netanyahu, agree to ceasefire, shut this all down. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what we got yesterday. So let's hope and pray that this holds. I know that there's a lot of analysis which is skeptical that this ceasefire will hold. I'm also worried that it may not hold, but let's hope and pray that it does hold. And it's a good thing. And it's a good thing that it's a good thing. It's a great thing that we got a ceasefire. But this was Trump's doing. And I believe pretty much all the media is coming around to that conclusion. If Harris would have won in November, oh boy, things would have gone from horrific to catastrophic. That's for sure. Whatever your feelings are about Trump, or whatever his reasons are to pressure Netanyahu to agree to the ceasefire, it's a ceasefire. And that's a good thing. That is absolutely a good thing. So, should we move on to the next story? I feel like I had something else to say about this topic, but all of a sudden I forgot. Because I need a coffee. That's why. And my mind is failing me this afternoon. Let's talk about Starmer in Kiev. Sir Keir Starmer traveling to Kiev for the very first time. The first time he is going to Kiev to get a good old dose of that Zelensky curse. Keir Starmer. Oh boy. So yeah, he is signing the UK up to a 100-year agreement with Ukraine. You heard that right. 100-year agreement with the Green Goblin. That is the deal that Starmer is putting together as he is in Kiev. This is a military cooperation, a 100-year military agreement, a 100-year economic agreement, a 100-year social agreement, a 100-year everything. It encompasses everything. This is not only military. The UK and Ukraine, they are now joined at the hip for the next 100 years. Simpatico, amigos for life. Zelensky and Starmer, yep. A 100-year freaking agreement. Why not make it 1,000 years? Why did he stop at 100 years? Sir Keir Starmer to sign 100-year friendship deal with Ukraine in first Kiev visit since becoming PM. Keir Starmer hails closer than ever partnership with Ukraine on Kiev visit. Two countries to sign deal to deepen existing defense relationship and boost economic links in non-military areas. He's also going to talk about, as he's in Kiev, he's talking about UK and French peacekeepers in Ukraine as well. When a ceasefire, if and when a ceasefire deal is reached, then Starmer is signing up the UK military, along with the French military, to provide security to Ukraine. Yeah. 100 years, man. Wow. So Keir Starmer, man. Keir Starmer, completely out of touch with what is going on. Completely out of touch. Everyone now realizes, including Zelensky, everyone realizes that Ukraine is losing or has lost this conflict. Trump is talking about trying to get a peace deal, but he's also saying, if I can't get a peace deal in Ukraine, Trump is signaling that he could possibly walk away from it all. Russia continues to advance across the entire front. I believe they've captured something like 15 settlements in the past week or so. Ukraine soldiers trapped in Kursk, getting annihilated in Kursk. Everything is going from bad to worse to catastrophic in Ukraine. And what does Starmer do? He decides to sign a 100-year deal with Zelensky. He doesn't see what is going on, or he's unaware of everything that is going on in Ukraine. Instead, he decides, this could be a good distraction from all my problems in London. Let's go to Kiev. Let's sign a deal. Let's give money. He's going to give money to Zelensky as well. And he actually believes that this is going to win over the British citizens. The UK citizens are going to be very impressed with Keir Starmer. And they're going to forget about everything that is going on in the UK. All of his problems in the UK, they're just going to forget about it. And he's going to return to London to a hero's welcome, right? Because he is supporting Zelensky. He is absolutely clueless. Keir Starmer is absolutely freaking clueless. We'll see how long he lasts. We will see how long Keir Starmer lasts. For one more year until the Zelensky curse gets him? Yeah, I'd give him about another year. 6 months to 1 more year. And then he's gone. So that's Starmer in Kiev. We didn't know the date of his trip to Kiev. Everyone knew that he was going to go. It was announced that he was going to go, but a date was not announced. Well, he showed up in Kiev. He showed up in Kiev. The most boring man in politics. Zelensky was probably dozing off. Oh, this guy, Podolyak, is so boring. Hey, Podolyak, when is he just going to give me my money and leave? I'm falling asleep listening to this guy. So, Zelensky met with Tusk yesterday. So before he met with Starmer, he was in Poland, I believe, and he was meeting with Donald Tusk. Donald Tusk, who is now, Poland is now the president. They have the presidency of the European Union. They took over for Hungary. And Tusk said that he is going to use the presidency of the European Union to accelerate Ukraine's entry into the EU. That is his number one goal. He said that Ukraine is critical for Poland. And if people don't understand how important Ukraine is for Poland, then he said they are fools or traitors. Let me get his exact quote. Tusk said, Ukraine's accession to the EU is a matter of Polish security. Anyone who doesn't understand this is either a fool or a traitor. That's how important Ukraine is for Poland. It is that important. What else did they say? They gave a press conference, Tusk and Zelensky, and I have to say that the press conference was an absolute mess. I watched the clips from the press conference with Tusk and Zelensky, and it was just a complete mess. A complete freaking mess. But Zelensky, he said some interesting things. He said that the Ukraine military is larger than the Russian military in Ukraine right now at the moment. I believe he had the numbers at, what were the numbers? 600,000 Russian soldiers, he said, are fighting in Ukraine, and 880,000 Ukrainian armed forces soldiers are in the conflict at the moment. 600,000 Russians to 880,000 Ukrainians. Those are the numbers that Zelensky put out there. He said that Ukraine is making more drones than Russia. They have a drone advantage. He actually said that. He said that Ukraine has a disadvantage in just about everything, but the one thing that they have an advantage in is drones. Ukraine, he said, makes a lot of drones. And you know what? He said, if you give us the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets, we can make more drones. We can make more weapons. That was his ask. We're making so many drones. Can you imagine how many drones we'd make if you gave us $300 billion? Can you imagine how many drones we could make? Come on, just take that 300 billion. It's just sitting there in Euroclear, Europe. Come on, EU. Come on, Tusk. You know you want that money. You can see that money. Huh? You can taste it. You can touch it. You can feel it. 300 billion. Come on. We can make a lot of drones. Me and you, Tusk. Me and you, Tusk. We make drones, many drones. $300 billion. That was his ask. Let's take that money and let's use it. Zelensky said that as well. And he also said that security guarantees, because Tusk said that Poland is absolutely going to provide security for Ukraine. If a ceasefire is reached, if a deal is reached in Ukraine, Then Tusk signed up Poland. He said, yep, Poland is there. We'll be in Ukraine and we'll be providing security guarantees to Ukraine troops Polish troops in Ukraine. Sorry, Polish troops in Ukraine is basically what Tusk was saying if a ceasefire deal is reached. And what was Zelensky's response to this? Yeah, that's nice and all, but I really don't care about EU security guarantees. That's what Zelensky said. You know, EU, European militaries and European peacekeepers and security guarantees. That's all well and good, but what I really want is I want American boots on the ground. That was Zelensky's response. He said, without the US military, without US security guarantees, it's all meaningless. He's right. He is right. You have to give it to the Green Goblin on this. He is absolutely correct. So he said that as well. That's it. That's pretty much it. The rest of the press conference was Zelensky and Tusk just going back and forth, and every now and then they were cracking a couple of jokes as well. Tusk actually has a sense of humor. He has a sense of humor. He said that if Donald Trump, because he connected his name, Donald Tusk, to Donald Trump, he said if Donald Trump thought like Donald Tusk, he said that the world would be a much better place. If that Donald in the US thought like this Donald in Poland, then the world would be a much better and much safer place. So Biden, I think we have some Biden news. Biden gave a speech, his last speech before he leaves. Yeah, he gave his farewell speech, Bidenopolis. And in his farewell speech, I don't think he mentioned Project Ukraine or Russia or anything like that. He actually talked about the rise of the oligarchs, the tech oligarchs. He said that the United States is at risk of having a big tech oligarch problem. That's what he said, a big tech oligarch problem.
I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power.
Zuckerberg really hurt Biden's feelings, right? Zuckerberg going MAGA, the Zuckbot going from Android, Democrat supporting woke Zuck, becoming surfer dude, shaggy doo, Scooby Doo, MAGA Zuck. That really bothered Biden and the Democrats and the globalists and the neocons and the neolibs. It really, really got to them. It really got to them. Don't worry. Zuckerberg, he'll go any way the wind blows. Anywhere the money's at, that's the direction that Zuckerberg will go. I wouldn't worry about Zuckerberg's loyalties. I don't think he really has any. But yeah, $400 million from Zuckerberg that he gave to the Biden campaign, and Biden's upset with him. He's upset with him, talking about disinformation of the tech oligarchs. New U.S. oligarchy threatens democracy, Biden warns in farewell speech. So that was Biden saying goodbye. Goodbye, Bidenopolis. You will not be missed. Did you guys catch Rubio's confirmation? His confirmation hearing? So Rubio, the soon-to-be Secretary of State, he will get confirmed. He was talking a lot about China. You can tell that the shift in the Trump White House is going to be China. Full speed ahead towards China. An economic conflict, a standoff between the United States and China. That's where we're heading towards. As far as Ukraine goes, Rubio said, look, In his Rubio, in his neocon Rubio way, he said, look, we need to get realistic. Ukraine is not winning this conflict. He didn't say it like that, but that's what he meant. We need to get realistic. Ukraine is losing, and Ukraine is going to lose. That was pretty much what Rubio told the Congress during his hearing. He talked about a ceasefire as well. He said, my number one goal for Ukraine, for the conflict in Ukraine, as the U.S., as the soon-to-be Secretary of State, is to get to step one, which is a ceasefire. And once we get to a ceasefire, then we can start to work towards some sort of an agreement, a peace. But Lavrov and the Russians, Putin, Patrushev, they've all said no ceasefire. We are not interested in a ceasefire. We're interested in a deal, a lasting deal, a solution to this problem. Not only a solution about Ukraine, but a solution to the overall security architecture of Europe as a whole. But they're still talking about ceasefires. Rubio is still hoping for a ceasefire. Never going to happen. He's going to meet with Lavrov. You know it's coming. Rubio is going to meet with Lavrov. And wow, that's going to be something, huh? Rubio going up against Lavrov. Wow. Anyway, that was the meeting with the confirmation hearing with Rubio. Do I have anything else that I want to discuss? Let's see here. Is there anything else? Trump posted on, before we get to our clown world, two more stories. Trump posted on Truth Social who he is not willing to hire, the people that he's not willing to work with. And what an interesting list. He said, this is a bit long, but I'll read it to you. As of today, the incoming Trump administration has hired over 1,000 people for the United States government. They are outstanding in every way, and you will see the fruits of their labor over the coming years. We will make America great again. And it would be helpful if you would not send or recommend to us people who worked with or are endorsed by Americans for no prosperity, headed by Charles Koch, however you pronounce the Koch, I think it's Koch, those billionaires, dumb as a rock John Bolton, bird brain Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, disloyal warmongers Dick Cheney and his psycho daughter, Liz, Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, General Mark Milley, James Mattis, Mark Jesper, or any of the other people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, more commonly known as TDS. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's going to upset some big time neocons. That is going to upset a lot of DC insiders. That post. Oh boy. I think that Trump just put out the list of the people that Biden is going to pardon, right? That list of people are the people that Biden is going to pardon the next couple of days. Oh boy. So Trump posted that on Truth Social. Here's an interesting story. VKontakte, the Russian social media site, it has a social media network. Actually, it was founded by Pavel Durov, VKontakte, and then he sold it. Interesting story with Pavel Durov and VKontakte. I won't get into the details of it, but look it up. It's an interesting story. And VKontakte, which is a big social network in Russia, they added a video service, or they started to promote their video service. They beefed up the features, they improved it, and they positioned it over the past couple of years to go head on against YouTube. And we got the word yesterday that VKontakte, for the first time, has beat American YouTube in Russia. 92 million monthly users compared to YouTube's 89.6 million. With YouTube slowing down, the Kremlin's squeeze without banning strategy seems to be achieving its goals. Tech wars, Russian style. Yeah, Russia throttles YouTube. It slows it down. Sometimes it keeps it normal. Sometimes it slows it down, from what I've understood. I haven't been to Russia for a few months now, but when I was there, YouTube was fine. But from what I understand, they're slowing it down every now and then. At least the website, not the mobile app. But it appears to be working. And of course, YouTube demonetized all of the Russian channels, so I imagine they started to set up shop on VKontakte. I don't know if they have any kind of advertising payment scheme or what they do there, but interesting. They are now getting more views more users than YouTube for the first time. Tech Wars. Russian style. All right. Let's do some clown worlds. Von der Leyen got an award. She got the Charlemagne Prize for European Unification. Ursula von der Leyen. The Charlemagne Prize for European Unification, for the work she has done to unify Europe. Unbelievable, huh? They love to give each other awards, don't they? They love to give each other awards. They're good at that. Giving each other awards, they're very good at that. Everything else, not so good. Unifying Europe? I would not say that von der Leyen has done a good job unifying Europe. I don't think that she should be awarded for that. For accelerating the EU's demise? Yeah. She's absolutely accelerated the breakup of the European Union, no doubt about it. I was thinking the EU would break up in 10 years, maybe 15 years. After everything that von der Leyen has done, maybe 5 years. I give Europe, the EU, 5 years, maybe. Anyway, she got an award, the Charlemagne Prize. We had an announcement from the German Ministry of Defense that they are leaving X. Yep, they are leaving X, the German Ministry of Defense. They claim that factual exchange of arguments is becoming increasingly difficult on X, and that is why they are leaving the platform. An exchanging arguments on X for the German Ministry of Defense is becoming difficult. And Disclose.tv posted, the ministry's account interacted only 2 times with people on X in 2024. The rest, classic one-way communication. Yeah. It's just too difficult. It's too difficult, according to the German Ministry of Defense, to get into X discussions and arguments and debates. It's just too difficult. We can't get into a factual exchange of arguments. We can't get into a factual exchange of arguments. We've only done 2. We've only had 2 exchanges over the past year, but we just can't do it anymore, so we're leaving the platform. Oh boy. And finally, we have an Zelensky curse. The Swiss defense minister, Viola Amherd, announces resignation. She absolutely met with Zelensky. She absolutely supported Zelensky and supported Project Ukraine, and she has now been Zelensky cursed. That's the video, everybody. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update today. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.